Hello, today I'd like to review the book Along the Path of Torment. This is by an author named Chandler Morrison, someone whom I had not heard of before a couple days ago. And I found out about him because I had a video on that I was listening to, a YouTube video in which someone was talking about her most disturbing books that she's read. And she mentioned this particular book and what it was about, and it's about the fact that it's a book that could be called. Do I have enough? Have I gone a minute yet in this video? I hear that they stop the censors stop tuning in after a minute at the minute mark. So let me just wait a couple seconds here. All right, so we're a minute in. This is a book that could be called Pizzagate fiction because it's set in the heart of darkness, the Hollywood, the film industry, and it's set among the disgusting elites who exploit children. It is and in this book, it's just sort of a given fact that it happens, and that Hollywood is involved in it, and that A-list people show up to these parties where children are violated in the most disgusting, appalling ways imaginable, and that's just part of the industry. That's just the way things work. I found when I found out what this book was about, I decided I needed to check it out. I'm someone who's been on the scent of these kinds of stories, even though they're terribly disturbing, because they're terribly disturbing. I find that it's important to discuss them and to talk about them and to expose this evil. This book was published in 2020, 4 years after Pizzagate broke, and I can remember after Pizzagate became a story online that a lot of people were talking about. There was this massive pushback from the establishment media to try to kill this story, to try to make it seem like it's just absolutely untrue, that it's all made up, and it's just an alt-right fever dream, as Stephen Colbert said on his show. And it was this amazing thing just to see the amount of censorship. Of course, there's been a lot of other precedents for this. I mean, it was the beginning of a pattern, right, of them censoring stories that they didn't want people to think were real, and calling them misinformation and so forth. And but this book is set in a Hollywood where, and the main character is an insider, and he's not a good person himself. He's somebody who is a bad guy who has done a lot of bad things, but he's somebody for which perhaps there's some hope. And I'm not going to go into the depths of the story here, except to say there's the sort of question in the book as we follow this character who's writing in the first person, in the present tense. This has a certain Bret Easton Ellis feel to it. There are things about it that definitely made me think of Ellis. The fact that you have this disturbed main character who's this sort of desperate person who has a lot of problems, and who's detached to a degree from the horror that surrounds him, but also aware of it, and aware of how it doesn't just surround him, but that he's been infected by it himself. He was victimized, and then he was victimized at an early age, and then he became a part of this dark culture himself. He's somebody who has aspirations to be, to be a screenwriter, to make it in Hollywood, but right now he's just like a flunky for this his uncle, who's this absolutely disgusting man who's extremely powerful in Hollywood, and who commits all kinds of horrors. And in the book, as I don't, did I say this yet or not? I've already done a couple of takes of this video, so I don't know if I've said this yet, but the man who's the mogul, the uncle of the main character in the story, he throws these parties where I think I did mention that, where children are exploited, where not just just about every kind of disgusting thing you can imagine doing to a person, doing to another person. That kind of behavior is recorded in this book. There are certain scenes that are very difficult to read. I would say this is a compelling book, and it's worth. I would say it's worth reading if you can handle the subject matter, and of course you know yourself best. If somebody wouldn't want to read this because of some of the scenes that it involves, and because of the subject matter itself being so appalling, that's understandable. I find it heartening that this book is out there, and that it is saying what it's saying about the entertainment industry. Very explicitly, in all senses of the word explicitly. Maybe to some people's taste a little too explicitly in certain scenes. But definitely explicit in that it pulls no punches, and has no pretenses about the nature of the Hollywood elites and the kind of things that they get up to. And their deeply perverse and disgusting proclivities. The book is also well written in the sense that you get to know certain things about the main character little by little. In the beginning, where there's just sort of a suggestion of what his deal is, what his past is, what he's dealing with, what he's done, what has been done to him, and then as the work as it progresses, we find out more and more of the reality of this guy, and it's not a pretty picture, and yet we actually end up kind of rooting for this guy, because he, for all of his all of the major defects in his character, and there are many, there seems to be a spark of hope for him, and there's a possibility that he will ultimately do the right thing and rescue this one particular girl who's been this 14-year-old girl who wants to be an actress, who's been pushed into it by her mother, but also wants it for herself, but who's wise beyond her years, and And so there's, the question is will he save her from this? Can she be saved from all of this depravity? So in some ways, it's kind of making me think. Now that I'm talking about it, it's kind of makes me think a little bit of Taxi Driver with the Jodie Foster character in a similar sort of situation. But it's much more morally compromised than that. The as I said, the hero / anti-hero of the book is somebody that you would hate in any other book, but since we're hearing the whole, any other book where he's just some character, but in this book, since it's all happening from his point of view, and because we know what he's been through, and what has contributed to making him how he is, there's a degree of empathy that we develop for him. The author also knows how to throw in little details that make certain characters have more likability. He has the girl, for example, who, by the way, her name is Beatrice, which is an interesting choice of name, considering the role that Beatrice played in Dante's Divine Comedy. Everybody who knows about Dante's Inferno and Purgatorio and Paradiso knows that Beatrice, the character of Beatrice, plays a major role in that, as somebody who helps Dante through this difficult point, and who eventually guides him through paradise. She's his muse, and so that's obviously he's obviously playing on that theme a bit, albeit in a way that's where things are quite a bit more compromised, as I've said before a couple times already. But he has her say, there's something that, this is just one detail that stood out to me. He has her say, when she's when the girl named Beatrice, the would-be starlet named Beatrice in this book, is surprised by something or shocked by something, she says criminy, and that's such an endearing thing to have her say. It sounds like something that you'd hear somebody say in a 1930s movie or something like that. But she says it, without any kind of self-consciousness. It's just sort of her version of an exclamation, instead of saying something profane. That's what she says. And it lends her character a certain innocence, even though she's definitely not innocent. She's very much not innocent in other ways. So I would recommend this book, again, if you're the type of reader who reads this kind of these who can handle this kind of subject matter. And as far as who this author is, and where he stands on things, and how he's been categorized, he seems to be a polarizing kind of figure, a controversial figure in the world of horror fiction. I had never heard of him before, but I guess people who read extreme kinds of extreme horror books, he's sort of in that group. And it's not a genre that I visit very often, although I've being a Bret Easton Ellis fan, he's definitely gone there quite a few times in his books. So those are my thoughts on I can't remember the title right now, but it's in the Road of Torment, Taking Down the Road of Torment or something like that. It's an interesting title, but I'll put the title I'll put the title of the book in the title of this video, Has anybody else out there read it? What do you think? Let me know.